to trip over the dog. Oh, shoot. Hi, my name is Nancy Bacon.
And my name is Scott Bacon.
So that makes us everything is better with bacon. See, that works so well when we do it together. Welcome to the second part in our series about living in faith in these difficult times. Yeah. Last week we talked about storytelling and how the world is changing from being left-brained to right-brained. And today we're talking about innovation, how the world has changed in how we look at our jobs and everything else. And so we're going to explore today with you how we can be innovative in our faith.
Well, and it is. I mean, just like last week is about being able to tell our stories, to know our stories. What people are interested in is what our story is, not just truth claims. It's about being authentic, about being, you and hearing your story. Well, this week, as Nancy said, it was about being innovative. When I was growing up, I grew up in, well, we like to say middle class, but it was working class. We just like to think we're middle class. But working class America, and middle America for that matter. And the goal of parents was that for their children to have more opportunity than they did in life. To have a little bit bigger piece of that American dream and of the good life. And for that meant to be, well, lawyers, doctors, and maybe if you're really good in math class, an engineer. And they wanted this for us so that was what your keys were to succeed in life. Be a doctor, be a lawyer. And that's what it meant. If you could remember all kinds of anatomy, graphs, charts, and so forth, or calculate a whole bunch of numbers, then that's what it meant to succeed. But the world has changed, and the world has changed significantly. To be successful in the world now is to be adaptive. It's to be innovative. Those are very big words. I mean, the world will always need doctors, lawyers, and engineers. Well, I don't know about lawyers, but I mean, they will always need those things, certainly. But to succeed in life now, I mean, the majority of jobs are what is the most profitable, stable, sought after job, not only this year, but it has been for numerous years in the last several decades, is software developer. It's to be able to create new code, to be able to do all of these things. And so, I mean, the world has changed. And even if you're saying, well, yeah, but in medicine, those are always profitable jobs or sought after jobs. I mean, you're absolutely right. They will be. And certainly, but even if you look, though, at those jobs, the top 10, there are several that are healthcare providers, but physician has kind of slid back, and now more sought after is nurse practitioner, is physician assistant. Things have changed.
The world has changed not just for our jobs, but also for the church. So the church has to become innovative and adaptive in ways that we've never really had to been before, in a very long time. And so we're going to be exploring in this sermon today how exactly the church can be innovative, because it's really not it's not like our best foot forward, so we gotta look at that. So what I want to talk about today is, what does innovation look like? Even if you look just in the last year, one of the coolest innovations that I think that has happened is the glucose monitor that sits on a diabetic's arm so they don't have to get pricked anymore. But as we were talking about these things, everything from the cronut to all of the cronut, part croissant, part donut, right? You're like gluten intolerant. It doesn't really affect you, right? But the challenge of it is that we have all of these innovations, and Scott brought up a great point.
Oh my goodness. I love that your lead in is the cronut. Is that what you called it? A cronut?
It's a cronut. It's part croissant and part donut. It's like the best of every sweet breakfast food all mixed together. It's innovation in the culinary world.
Was it developed in America?
I don't know. Probably not.
Well, I have no idea. But, I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, and the good news for this matter, that uh, when I think about the most world changing innovations, the ones that, I mean, those innovations, those creations that adapted to a new world or created actually a new world, they came from people in America. The radio, the telephone, the car, the assembly line, the airplane, I mean, the computer, all of these things were innovative. We have it in our lifeblood as Americans, I think, to be innovative. I mean, you look at the last century, and it was all about innovations that changed the world came from our country. Now, I guess a big example or exception to that would be antibiotics from England, but I mean everything else that you think of comes from our country. We have it in our lifeblood to become, or not become, to be innovative, to be adaptive, and we've done that as a country. We need to do that as the church.
And so let me ask you this question. What is the coolest religious innovation in the American church? I mean, it's probably something we have to get better at, right?
Probably so.
How do we become more innovative? Well, there's all kinds of information, all different ways, steps, things that you can do to be more informative and innovative. And so I found 3 that I want to share with you tonight. And the first one is that you have to get better at what you already do. The second one is that you have to take what you already do and put it in a new context. And the third one is you have to solve a new problem. So Pastor Scott and I are going to look at those and see how we can take the understanding of innovation and apply it to our faith.
Well, yeah, and so I would challenge you that it's already in your lifeblood, but it has to be in your lifeblood as a Christian, as a person of faith, and as a church, as a community of faith, individuals of faith. We haven't had to do this for a very long time, but we do now. The world has changed. The world has shifted beneath our feet. But here's the good news also on this. Usually you're always the one about good news and positivity. Today it's me. But that the first thing in this is to become better at what you're already good at. It's not, and that's great news because immediately it's like in any any kind of step program, anything about being better at something, it's always about, all right, well, go do this, learn that. Well, here's the thing. Taking your God-given passions, taking your God-given skills, become better at what you're already good at, what you're passionate about, what you're skilled at. To grow that in you so that you become not just kind of, this is something I do, but this is something that I'm very good at. And so to hone your skills, to enliven your passions, that those things that you're already about. And here's another thing about this is we are surrounded by quote unquote education. I mean, if you want to learn how to do something, and I've done this repeatedly, there's something around the house, something on the car that I needed to learn to do, I go straight to YouTube. And so, I mean, you and I with internet are surrounded by the means to become better and better at something. And not just, YouTube about doing something around the house, but something that you love to do, something that you're very good at. And so with this being surrounded by the ability to improve, then to do it, to become better and better at something that you are skilled in, something that you're passionate about. And we all have our own thing in life. I mean, we do. Your thing, my thing. And so it's about honing those skills already so that we can be innovative, to take those things that we're good at. It might be talking with people. It might be listening to people's story. It might be all kinds of things, but how does that working then with faith, with your faith that you have, to be able to hone that so that it might make even a greater impact.
Well, in the place of the Bible where we see this kind of playing out is the story of David and Goliath, right? David was really good at taking care of his flock. That was his job in life. And so when his brothers were off to war and fighting the Philistines, he went and brought some food. And what happened is there was Goliath who had instilled fear in everyone's heart, and no one would fight him. And so David did our second point, and that is he applied what he knew, which was slinging stones, right, into a new context. And so I want to pick up here in Scripture of what happened when he was preparing to do that. Then Saul dressed David in his own tunic. He put a coat of armor on him and a bronze helmet on his head. And David fastened on his sword over the tunic and tried walking around because he was not used to them. I cannot go in these, he said to Saul, because I am not used to them. So he took them off. Then he took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the stream, put them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, he approached the Philistine. Meanwhile, the Philistine with his shield bearer in front of him kept coming closer to David. He looked David over and saw that he was a little more than a boy, glowing with health and handsome, and he despised him. He said to David, "Am I a dog so that you come at me with sticks?" And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. "Come here," he said, "and I'll give you flesh to the birds and the wild animals." David said to the Philistine, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcass of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves. For the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands." As the Philistine moved closer to attack him, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Reaching into his bag and taking out a stone, he slung and struck the Philistine on the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. So this second part of innovation is taking what you're good at and using it in a new context. Now, hopefully you can practice it in ways that aren't as huge as Goliath, right? But
Or violent.
Or violent, right? But a great biblical story to inspire us.
Well, it absolutely was, because, I mean, Goliath, the Philistines were coming at them with what they knew and what they thought was intimidating. What David did, it was exactly, I mean, it might sound somewhat strange, but that's exactly what he did. He came at the problem. All the Israelites were so afraid that they stayed up on their top of the hill, but David knew that he could win this. And so he did, because he brought what his skills were to a whole new context. That's exactly what he did.
So if we're going to be innovative, first we're going to practice what we're really good at. Then we're going to apply it in a new context. And then the third way to be innovative is also to find a new problem to solve. And let me tell you, there are always problems to solve. But what
Absolutely.
I want to share with you is that one of the biggest problems we have to solve right now is how you help people feel connected in this world.
Yeah.
Our generation, we don't even get a cool name, right?
Gen
we're
X.
we're Generation X, right? Maybe just get cool hand symbols, right? We are the loneliest generation that there is.
Today,
Yeah.
it's going to be replaced by the new one coming out.
But and why is that? A lot of people will say it's technology, and while technology plays a role in that, it's also because for the first time in a generation that's raising children and everything, we have all of these answers that are absolutely everywhere, and we get lost in the minutia of all of that. Yeah. And now we are raising children who also have the same sense of loneliness in them, and we are desiring connection in authentic ways. And so the problem to solve is how you help younger generations to connect to their faith. And it's got to look different because everything has changed, just like we've said in the world.
Yeah, what's worked in the past isn't going to work now. I mean, the whole idea, as you brought up about disconnection, you're absolutely right about in our generation. I mean, it's something that is just a plague. But now, and again, it's not about technology, but it's about all of the things as they fit in together. But now throw in COVID and the quarantine, the pandemic, and just being afraid of each other. In schools, everything being in flux, I guess is the positive way to say it, that we are so disconnected. And so if you want to think about of a problem to solve, it is our disconnected world. For you and I as a Christian, for a community of faith, for individuals of faith, it's about being our garnering connection in a world that is so disconnected. Jesus said in John 16 that our world will always have problems. Well, yes, we do. And a problem that we have now, and it's only going to get worse, is so much disconnection.
But you are about the good news today. So, God
well, I guess I was the first 2 times. Now I'm just like, oh, it's bad, guys. It's bad.
God is always looking to those who innovate to save, not to the loudest voices. And so it's a call for us in 1 Chronicles 22 that David is preparing for the building of the temple, and God declares, "Arise, all of you who are artful." And I love this verse that you found, because it's not saying, "Arise, all of you who are loud," right? "Arise, all of you who feel like they have all of the answers." "Arise, all of you who are creative,
innovative, adaptive, to build up the temple of the Lord." And you're right. That's exactly what our world needs, because so many things, so many quote-unquote temples, this is probably taking the analogy too far, but are being destroyed, and people are looking to what is real, what is going to help me, what is inspiring. And the church, you and I, we have something to offer in all of this. And we can't be so lost in the crumbling that we lose what we're about. And that is not to be loud, not to be, here's my little easy pad answers, but about changing with the world and actually being ahead of it and saying, this is where God is. Where God is does not change. Where the world is changes. Where God is does not.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is not.
Thank you. I didn't want to lose my whole identity as being the positive person. So, cloud of doom and gloom,
well,
Nancy.
It just hasn't been my day, right? But the challenge of this is we tell you to be innovative.
Oh, that's right.
In your
We didn't
faith,
bring
right?
up what happened to you.
Right. But here's the thing. You're going to fall. You're going to fail. How many times did Thomas Edison did it take before he actually
Before
invented?
he stole most of his inventions from
All right. Well,
Tesla.
It was a lot. It was a lot of times, right?
He did. You're right. That would be an American inventor. But you're absolutely right. I mean,
We're going to fall. And instead of trying to be living in that fear of falling,
Yes.
learn how to fall well. All right? And so that's what I did today. I was taking Lucas for a walk, and we were at Sippo, which is this great kind of place that has trails in the woods. And all of a sudden, I didn't notice in time, and he saw 3 baby deer. And they're about his size.
And they look just like him.
And they look just like him. And so he's like, my family. And he runs off, and I have no clue.
Come here, brothers and sisters. Come here.
Let's all be one, right? And I was not quick enough on my feet because I'm not the world's most graceful person.
Maybe.
And anyway, I fell. I mean, it was one of those times. So in your thinking in your head, I'm going to fall. I actually had this moment of, what should I heard
world
first?
slows down,
right?
yeah.
The world slows down.
What should I heard first?
I mean, look, so I had the
I'd
ability.
be cussing the dog all the way down.
I had this ability to, use my hands to break my fall. And if it wasn't for a tree root that like directly over my knees, I wouldn't have been a bloody mess.
Yeah. If you notice that we're very cropped, not widescreen, her knees are all wrapped up and bloodied with ice packs on.
But here's the
You
truth
fell.
of the matter.
You
I fell.
fall? We all do.
Right? And that happens. And I
It
had
does.
to lean on the goodness of a stranger to get up and keep walking because I had about a half mile left to the car where I was able to clean up a little bit. But I'm not going to let it, ruin my day. You're going to fall. You got to pick up and keep going. You got to keep being innovative in this world.
Well, since I'm the positive person, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to touch you on the knee. Since I'm the positive person today, don't be afraid to fall. I mean, you are going to fall, and yes, it's going
Fall
to
well.
fall well, fall forward.
Oh, that's right. It's fall forward, not
No,
back.
fall
Good.
well is fine too. But I mean, and all of this, I mean, the world is shifting beneath our feet, and with all of the changes.
So are the tree tongues.
But instead of the church always being behind and clamoring about what was in the past, let you and I be innovative. Let us start thinking forward. And part of that is with us, I mean, taking the whole online thing, the whole experience, I mean, to do this because, I mean, we are so disconnected and isolated. And so it's about meeting wherever the world is at and then changing with it. You know what? And if you fail or if you fall, then so be it. Fall forward, fall with grace.
Laugh at
God-
yourself.
I didn't laugh at her, just to be clear. She laughed at her. Well, you actually didn't laugh at yourself. You were cussing the dog, too. I just want to say that since I'm the positive person here today. I'm just a little, but again, in all of this, as a church, as the church body, as people of faith, individuals of faith, community of faith, let's think forward. Let's fall forward when need be, but let's do it so that we can always be moving forward.
We are so thankful that you have been a part of this
Yep.
worship experience today and this teaching, and we invite you to join us again next week. We're going to be moving in this series from starting with the storytelling and then tonight with our exploring about how to move forward, and then we're going to be working as a symphony next week.
Yeah, and I only wonder because Nancy fell for you to make an illustration today. What is she going to do?
No,
next
it's going to
week?
be you next week. You're going to have to learn
Wow.
how to play an instrument, or
Yeah,
I don't
the
know.
last time I was in the hospital was for a week for open heart surgery. I don't want to top that.
But pay attention. We'll see you again next week. We
Yep.
thank all of you for your comments, for
Yep.
your
Shares,
encouragements,
likes,
your shares,
thank
and
you.
everything, because everything really is
Oh, wow, you're bringing it home. Everything's better with.
bacon. Bye.
Have a good week, everyone.